Hello, this video is going to be similar to the last one you looked at, hopefully on Monday. Last lesson we looked at converting mixed numbers into improper fractions, and today we're just going to look at how we can use those when we're adding and multiplying mixed number fractions as well. For the do now is going to be a little bit of practice about adding and multiplying fractions. So if you need to, look back in your notes that you should have made already over the last week or so, and pause the video while you have a go at them, and then press play again when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, so I'm going to just put the answers on now. There we go. So mark the ones that you've done. The adding fractions, the first step would have been to convert the denominators into the same number. So here, 4 and 8, we would have chosen 8. 10 and 5, the lowest common multiple is 10. And 2 and 4, the lowest common multiple is 4. So that would have been your first step for those. And there's your answers at the bottom. Mark them, please. And the multiplying fractions, hopefully you understand how to do these by now. We multiply the top number, the numerator, on each fraction. So 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. And we multiply the denominators. So 4 multiplied by 5 is 20. For these next two fractions, they've also simplified it. So 1 multiplied by 2 gave them 2. 2 multiplied by 3 was 6. So they got 2 6. And then you should realise that both of those numbers divide by 2 to give you 1/3. So today we're going to look a little bit more at converting these mixed numbers to improper fractions. Then we're going to look at adding mixed numbers together and then multiplying mixed numbers together at the very end. So the starter then, think back to what we was doing on Monday. Look back at your notes if you need to. At the top we've got some mixed numbers, and I'd like you to convert them into improper fractions, please. Remember, you've got 4 wholes, for example, here, and an extra half. And in the second box, I'd like you to convert the improper fractions to mixed numbers. So you've got 11 over 2. Can you convert that, please? And then you've got 10 over 3. Can you convert that into a mixed number as well? Pause the video while you have a go, and then press play when you're ready to mark those. Okay, so I'm going to delete these boxes, show you the answers. There you go, mark those please, and then we'll get ready to move on. Okay, so the first example that we're going to look at, or the first situation, is adding and subtracting these mixed numbers. So we can see here we've got 4 wholes and 3/8. Take away 1 whole and 3/4. The second example we're going to look at is going to be adding these. So a similar process, but one of them is going to be take away and one of them is going to be add. So the first step for these questions then, we're going to convert the mixed numbers into improper fractions. So I'll just talk you through how they did that. So the first one, 4 multiplied by 8 is 32, plus these extra 3, which meant that they had 35 in total, and all over 8, because 8 was our denominator. The next fraction, 1 multiplied by 4 is 4, plus 3 gave them 7 over 4 in total. Now thinking back, this is now a subtraction question with fractions. So I'm looking at the denominators. I've got 8 here and 4 here. So I can't subtract them straight away. I need to change the denominator so that they're going to be the same. So 8 and 4, the lowest common multiple of 8 and 4 is actually 8. So they're going to convert these fractions to have a denominator of 8. So the first one is already 8 on the denominator, so that fraction can stay the same. So we've still got 35 over 8. Looking at the second fraction, this is over 4, and I need to turn 4 into 8. So what do I multiply 4 by to give me 8? And that is 2. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. And 7 multiplied by 2 is 14. Remember, whatever we multiply the denominator by, we also multiply the numerator by. Both of those have been multiplied by 2. Both of these denominators are now 8, so I can write my question as 1 fraction. And 35 take away 14 is now going on to the numerator. All that I'm left to do is find out what that is. 21 over 8. And we can then convert that back into a mixed number. So how many 8's going to 21 will be 2 and 5 left over. So we've got 2 and 5/8 in total. Sometimes you can leave your answer as the improper fraction. Sometimes you can leave it as a mixed number. Any of those should be fine. Make sure that you've got all that written down so you can look back at it when you do the questions by yourself. And then we'll move on to the second example. So the first step, if we compare the first question and the second question, even though they are different, the first step is still going to be the same. So here we converted our mixed numbers into improper fractions, and on this question they've done the same thing. So they've converted the mixed number fractions here, 2 and 2/3, into 8 and 8/3. So 2 multiplied by 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8/3 in total. And they've also converted 1.5 into 3 over 2. So the first step, when we're dealing with mixed numbers, we always need to turn them into improper fractions before we can add them. The next step, 3 and 2 on the denominators are different, and the lowest common multiple is 6. The first fraction has been multiplied by 2. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6, and they've done the same to the numerator. And the second fraction, we've gone from 2 to 6, and that is multiplied by 3, and 3 is also multiplied by 3 to get 9. The denominator is the same, so we can write all of this as 1 fraction over 6, and 16 plus, this time, 9. So 16 plus 9 is our numerator, and we just need to work out what that is. So 16 plus 9 is 25, 25 over 6, and the last step, we can convert that back into a mixed number. So 6, how many times does 6 go into 25? So 6, 12, 18, 24, that's 4 times, and the difference between 24 and 25 that we've got is 1. So we've got 4 wholes and 1/6. If you need to pause the video to catch up on the notes, make sure you do that before we move on. And we've got our practice questions here. So the top section, if you're not sure about how to convert mixed numbers into improper fractions, then you can just do this top section here. This is just normal adding and subtracting of fractions. If you feel as though you understand this first section, you know how to calculate with normal fractions, you don't need to do that section. You can go straight onto the mixed numbers if you want to. Again, if you're struggling with mixed numbers, just do this first section and move on. If you understand how to do normal fractions, you can skip that first section and go on to this second section straight away. Pause the video while you have a go, and when you're ready, press play and then you can see the answers. Here's the answers, mark the ones that you've done, and if we just have a look, some of them they've given them as improper fractions and also the mixed number answer as well. For this question here, if you wanted that as a improper fraction, that would be 9 over 4. And this one as an improper fraction would be 23 over 6. And this one here, again, that's 9 over 4. It should have been the same answer as A. Okay, multiply and mixed numbers. The first example is just one mixed number multiplied by a normal fraction, and the second example we've got 2 mixed numbers there. So let's have a look at the working out. Can you write down this first question, please, this first example, and then the working out, let's have a look. So first of all, whenever you're dealing with mixed number fractions, you need to convert them into improper fractions. So 1 multiplied by 4 is 4 plus 3, which is where they've got 7 over 4. This fraction here, this is already a proper fraction. That's just 2/3. So we've got 7/4 multiplied by 2/3. And when we're multiplying fractions, we just need to multiply the numerators, which I've got here, and they also need to multiply the denominators. So 4 multiplied by 3 on the denominator. Let's work out what that is. 14 over 12, 7 multiplied by 2 is 14, 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. And we can convert that back into a mixed number. So how many 12s go into 14 is going to be 1 with 2 left over. So 14 12s is the same as 1 and 2 12s. And hopefully you can recognize that we can just simplify that a little bit. 2 over 12 both can divide by 2, so we've got 1/6. Our final answer is 1 and 1/6. Pause the video if you need to catch up on those notes, and then I'm going to move on to the next example. Okay, so here we've got two mixed numbers. Let's have a look at what the first bit of working out is. So again, whenever you've got mixed numbers like this, we need to convert it into improper fractions. So the first one, 1 multiplied by 2 is 2, plus 1, 3 over 2. The next one, 3 multiplied by 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. We've got 3 over 2 multiplied by 10 over 3. And again, when we're multiplying, we need to multiply the numerators together, 3 multiplied by 10, and we multiply the denominators together, so 2 multiplied by 3. Let's work out what those are. This time we've got 3 multiplied by 10 is 30, and 2 multiplied by 3 is 6. And this is a really special fraction actually, because what we'll get, 30 over 6, well, we can get a whole number from that, and that simplifies down to 5. We could say it's 5 over 1. When we divide both of those by 6, we could say 5 over 1, but any number divided by 1 is just itself, so 30 over 6 simplifies down to 5. Pause the video if you need to catch up on those examples, and then I'm going to move on to some questions for you to have a practice. Okay, here's some practice questions. Similar to the last practice questions, if you're really struggling with these mixed numbers, then you can just start with this first top section. If you're struggling so much, you don't need to do these bottom questions, you can skip them. But if you're feeling confident on the normal multiplications, you can also skip this first section and go straight onto the new multiplying mixed numbers. Look back at your examples, look back at the notes if you need to. Pause the video while you have a go, and then the answers will be on the next slide. Press play when you're ready to move on. Our last answers then, we've got here, this is the first section, this is the second section, and it doesn't matter if you left your answer as a improper fraction, 7/5 for example on C, or if you converted it back to a mixed number, you've got both of those. So pause the video while you mark those, please.